Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geek Talk here at WPAR Radio Station. I am your host, Justin Herrera, and we are going to be talking about the most alpha movies and all the movies I believe you should see. Now, a little bit of a background about myself. I am from Long Island, New York, so shout out to all my Long Island peeps out there. If you're listening or not, I don't care. But I'm your local nerd. I love all movies, video games. I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan. I'm always down to talk about that. Second, if I can fix this up. Here we go. I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan, and like I said, today we're going to be talking about movies, and the list is pretty long. So next time, there might be a part 2 to this video, so we'll have to see. So let's get right to the list. Now, let me be warned. This list is pretty long, so there'll be some movies you hate. Also, there'll be some movies you hate, some movies you don't like. Remember, this is mostly opinion-based. This is not what everyone likes, but I feel that maybe some people will like. So there might be a part 2 to this video. You might see some of your favorite movies on here. Obviously, some of my favorite movies are on here. But I guess we'll have to see. So the first movie I want to talk about is Aliens. The Alien series. The Alien Ones, which was directed by Ridley Scott, which came out in 1979. Now, normally I wouldn't put this on this list because anything after 1980 is considered a classic. But this movie, I feel, is such a great movie. Okay, the characters are amazing. The monster is awesome. Now, the monster is something different. The monster is known as the alien, or it's the xenomorph if you follow the comics or anything like that. So the xenomorph basically is this lizard-like creature that basically impregnates other beings with eggs. And as you know, if you heard the term chest burster, the alien plants eggs inside you, and the egg eventually hatches, and it bursts out of your stomach, and then so there you go. So basically, this movie is basically a standard horror flick, but it was different for its time. Because basically, the slogan of the movie was, "In space, no one can hear you scream," which was kind of true, because, I mean, the whole setting was basically on a ship, and they really had nowhere to go. Everyone on that ship had nowhere to go. I mean, there was an alien basically loose on the ship, so they didn't really know where to go. So basically, one of my favorite scenes in that movie is obviously the dinner scene. So now, I forgot the name of the character for the life of me because I haven't seen the movie in such a long time. But whenever it's on HBO or like Netflix, if it's ever on Netflix, I usually watch it because it's a really good movie. So the one scene I'd like to talk about is the kitchen, not the kitchen scene, but like the dinner scene. So all the cast, Sigourney Weaver and all the other cast members or the characters are all sitting around the table. They're all laughing and laughing. One of the guys happens to everyone thinks he's choking, like he's choking. So what ends up happening is he basically falls to the ground, and a chest burster opens up out of his chest, and the alien, basically it's a little alien, it's like a little lizard, and just slithers away. That was probably one of the most gory scenes. And when I saw that movie, I was so shocked because I was very young when I saw that movie, and it really left an impact on me. Imagine a little 8-year-old me is like, "Oh my God, what did I just witness in this horrible movie?" But the movie ended up turning out to be great. It was just how this one alien could not infect, but like inflict so much terror on this group of characters. He was hiding in vents, he was hiding in lockers, and they had no way to kill this thing. They really didn't have any way to kill this thing. They didn't have any weapons like regular guns or anything like that. I mean, they had flamethrowers, but that's only if they could really get close to it. But let's be honest here, I'm not going to try to get close to that thing. So the alien basically itself looks like a lizard, covered in all black. It has on its tail has a nice spike, so it'll just stab you if it wants, and it has an extra little mouth that its tongue is actually another mouth. So if you ever hear it, if you ever watch the movie and you see the little tongue, it actually has its own set of teeth, and I kind of think it's another little being inside of him. And the alien also kind of has acid for blood, so if you end up able to kill the thing and its blood splatters on you, you're kind of going to get burned or probably die in a very, very brutal and vicious way. Sigourney Weaver is probably one of the most badass characters of the movie, and she was a pretty big deal in the 70s and 80s. But this, I think, was her jump start of her career. It was a very good movie, and I highly recommend you go see this movie. Now, the next movie is from the same series, but it's called Aliens, directed by James Cameron, which came out in 1986. Now, this movie is not your standard, it's not really scary, but it's more action-based. One second. Sorry about that. This movie is a lot more action-based because, but it basically takes place right where the first one left off, because it's Sigourney Weaver, I don't really want to spoil. Oh, by the way, this list, I'm going to try my best not to spoil the movies because, I mean, I feel like you should really go see them because they're really, really good movies. This movie is usually always on HBO, so you might find it, you might be able to watch it or something. So basically, also let me point out that if you're listening and you want to call ahead, you were more than welcome to call ahead and voice your thoughts. So what happens is Sigourney Weaver is picked up by the Colonial Marines, which are basically, I mean, these movies take place in the far future. So space travel is just like an everyday thing. Like, oh, hey, look, space, I want to go into space. Yeah, let's fucking go. So basically, they go, and Sigourney Weaver is picked up by the Colonial Marines, and they ask, what happened? Like, why are you here? It's like, oh, my ship was attacked by the xenomorph. And the Marine's like, oh, it's funny. We were sent a distress call from LV-422. I think that was the name of the planet or something. I really got to watch the movie again. Basically, to say, oh, we have a distress call, so we have to go figure it out. We have to go figure what the hell is going on there. Like I said, this movie is more of an action movie. There's more action than horror. It has elements of horror in it, but it's mostly action. But it's a really, really good movie. So basically, I'm just turning off my phone because I don't want people to blow up my phone when I'm doing this. Now, as you can tell by the title, this movie is reason it's called Aliens and not Alien, because in the first movie it was just one alien causing all this havoc. Now in this movie it's aliens because I'm not gonna try not to curse on here. There's a lot of aliens, like a lot of aliens, and it's definitely something to be watched. So basically, all the characters are actually pretty cool. Sigourney Weaver returned as Ripley. If I didn't mention that in the beginning, her name is Ripley. And she's more badass than ever, and she is joined by some new group of characters, such as the quiet and abandoned child known as Newt, who, a little bit of a backstory, she was on a school field trip on this base that they're going to when it was overrun by the xenomorphs. And I can only imagine how that went for her, which kind of sucked because I kind of found her in a garbage chute. And then you got your Tough and Lieutenant Vasquez armed with her smart gun. Now, the smart gun was a pretty cool weapon for its time. The UNSC... Not the UNSC, I was confusing Halo with fucking Aliens lore. The Colonial Marines had a lot of futuristic weapons for its time, kind of resemble ours today, but they're a little more futuristic. The smart gun, basically this giant machine gun that they had, and they had a little visor right here, like if you cover like this, it's a little visor, and the gun, like it's basically works on its own, and it just targets everything, which was a pretty cool thing. We never really got to see a lot of that in the first movie. Private Hudson, played by the famous Bill Paxton. Rest in peace. He passed away last year, which sucks. But he is known for his famous line in the movie, "It's game over, man, game over." And then you have Hudson. I said Hudson. Excuse me. I said Corporal Hicks, who serves as a friend to Ripley and serves as her teacher. Kind of teaches her how to defend herself using how to use the pulse rifle, which is the name of the standard weapon of the UNSC. I mean the Colonial Marines, and her and a bunch of other characters, basically, it's just them trying to survive the film. Basically, that's all it is. And there are a lot of really, really cool scenes in there. Like this one scene where they have this thing. If you ever hear the quick beep, 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 if you ever heard it, it's kind of hard to explain what it sounds like, but I'm trying to explain this the best way I can. It's a little radar. They hold it. It's a little radar, and it every time there's a little blip on it, it goes beep, beep, beep. And there's one scene where they're trapped up and they're holed up in a room, and they're like, we don't know where they are. They're not around us. Like they're on top of us basically. And they look up and they look in the vent, and there's a whole swarm of xenomorphs just coming in, and a lot of people die. But it is also a very good movie, and I personally think it is one of my favorites of the series because it was directed well. James Cameron did a fantastic job. Let's see what else I can say. I mean, that's basically. I'm trying not to spoil the movie as much as I can, but the Alien series, I should say, came out with 2 more movies. I'm not really a fan of them, to be honest. I personally like Alien, and Aliens, but Alien 3 was kind of like, it kind of wanted to go back to its roots of Alien, but it kind of didn't really work out that well. To make a long story short, the alien in that movie was impregnated a dog, and the alien turned into be a hybrid dog, which I really didn't see the difference in it. It kind of looked the same, but it crawled on all fours. I mean, I feel like they did that anyway. And the 4th one, I don't even want to talk about. The CGI was god awful in that movie. I can't even describe that movie. I fell asleep about halfway through it. I'm like, I can't deal with this. This is too much. This is really, really too much. So now the next series, but like I said, first one and the second one are great. I feel like you should definitely watch them. And they're really, really good. Also, if you're listening to this live stream on YouTube, I know a lot of you are watching it, but Zach, I know you're there. Shout out to you, Zach. Critic, if you're watching it, hey, or whoever else is watching it, whatever. So the next trilogy I want to talk about is the Dark Knight trilogy. Now, I'm a big superhero fan, but instead of me going on a rant about, not a rant, but like talk about this is your different superhero flick. There isn't much of this superpower stuff. It is basically Batman being Batman, just doing what there's no fancy CGI in this. I mean, there is, but it's not really like a lot, but it's all real. Christopher Nolan did a fantastic job. It was an amazing movie. So now, basically, Christian Bale, I think Christian Bale was one of the best Batmen we've seen since Michael Keaton at the time. I'm not even going to talk about Val Kilmer or George Clooney because it was pretty bad. And Ben Affleck, I'm kind of mixed feelings about it. It's all right. Yeah, it can go either way. As you know, Batman, basically, young Bruce Wayne was young when he was younger. He went down crime alley, as they called it. People call it in the comics, we just call it an alleyway. Was attacked by a mugger. His parents were killed. He witnessed the whole thing, pushed him to becoming Batman. This is not, like I said, this is not your standard superhero movie. This is not. It is all Batman just being Batman. Looking at this chat. What is this? Mark. Oh, hi, Mark. Hi, Jack. I'm sure you're listening. That's funny, Jack. Just call my phone if you want to talk. Just call my phone. Y'all have my number, I hope. Right? Yeah. Why wouldn't you? We all work together. Okay, so basically, the first movie was basically just Batman becoming Batman. Basically, the villains in the movie were Scarecrow, which was really, really cool. His look was awesome. The fear gas was really, really cool. They implied that from the comic, which was awesome. Then you have the badass villain known as Ra's al Ghul. See, now, in the comic book, Ra's al Ghul is this immortal being. Well, he's not really immortal. He makes himself immortal by dipping in the Lazarus pit, which is its own little, like, entity of... excuse me. It's not entity, but it's like... It's a pool of immortality. This liquid just makes you live longer. He just dips in it like this, and he's good to go. But they didn't put that in this movie. They didn't put that at all. They took out all, like, the crazy comic book stuff. They put just him... God damn it, Jack! Really? Why? I see why. Goddamn chat. But basically, Ra's al Ghul serves as Batman's teacher in this movie, which is fine. I don't really care because it's. Oh my! I'm not even gonna get into that. I'll talk about it after this, Jack. I'll make the voice. But I think this movie was really the Batman Begins. I'm talking about came out in 2005, directed by Christopher Nolan. And it was a really good one. Now, The Dark Knight is considered to be the best of the trilogy. And Heath Ledger as the Joker was the best ever. I'm at that point, I only grew up on Jack Nicholson Joker, and I didn't really count the 1960s Joker because I can't. Cesar Romero, I think. I forgot. Not Cesar. I can't remember his name for the life of me. But he was Heath Ledger's Joker was probably the best. And Batman did have nice plums, right? Right, Mark? So... But Heath Ledger's Joker was amazing. He gave his best performance, and rest in peace, because I wish he was still alive, Heath Ledger, to continue that famous role. Now we kind of got a really crappy Joker. Like, Jared Leto, I can't even. Joaquin Phoenix was okay-ish. I mean, I'm emphasizing on the ish, the very strong ish. Yeah, I got to see more. But basically, the second movie takes place right where the first one left off. And there's just a lot of mayhem in that movie. A lot of mayhem. And the Joker gives it his all. It made me actually be terrified of the Joker. The pencil scene, just him laughing, was just... He was really fucked up in the movie, let's be honest here. But he was amazing. Now, the next movie, The Dark Knight Rises, is a really good movie, I'm going to say. There really weren't any points I didn't like about it, but my favorite part of the movie was Bane, because... Bane. Now, in the comic books, Bane gets stronger with his Venom serum. He presses a little button on his hand, and he just gets like enormous, and it's just crazy. But in this movie, they took it all away and just relied on Bane himself. It's just Bane. Like, the guy punched the cinder block wall, and we're just like, all right, I just punched through it, turned nothing but the dust. I'm like, all right, that's cool. Which was really, really good. Which was at the end of the movie. But Bane basically broke the Bat in this movie. He knew Batman's secret identity. He knew where to hit him. Like for example, he knew how to destroy Batman and Bruce Wayne at the same time. Basically, to beat Batman, you just got to be physically stronger and physically smarter. No. Plum, right? God damn it! This is oh god, but I'm laughing too much now. Catwoman, Anne Hathaway gives an amazing performance as Catwoman. As I was saying before, Bane broke Bruce Wayne and Batman. The way to break Bruce Wayne is to take away his money, and he did. He robbed the stock market and took away every asset Wayne had owned. No, I don't think he. I don't think he was. I don't know why. Why? How is that a thing, Jack? How is that a thing? But it's a really overall really great movie, and the ending was a great way to end the series. I really wish Christian Bale had continued his portrayal of Batman later in the years, but I think he called it done because it's the first movie came out in 2005, and this Dark Knight Rises came out in 2012, and it kind of yeah, I think he was kind of done by that point, which is fine. But if you want to catch Christian Bale now, he is working on a new movie called Vice. He plays Dick Cheney, and it looks really, really good. The trailer is on YouTube, and Catwoman plums it. I don't think she had. Okay, she was pretty attractive in the movie. Does that make you happy? I mean, she was pretty attractive. All right. So now the next movie I want to talk about is called Argo. Now, I also mentioned before, I'm a big history guy. I love history. That's my favorite subject ever in school. And now I'm a history major, by the way. But I'm an education major, but I have a history minor, and I want to be a history teacher. So the next one I want to talk about is Argo. Now, this movie stars Ben Affleck and directed by Ben Affleck. I think it was written by him as well. And the movie takes place during the Iranian hostage crisis during the 79. It was 79, excuse me, 79. And Mark, the Star Wars talk is for another time. Before I mention, there will be other talks. We'll have a Marvel talk on here. We'll have a Star Wars talk. We'll have a video game talk. We'll do a famous Dragon Ball talk because I love Dragon Ball and I can talk about that for hours and hours on end. Oh, I see y'all actually made accounts so you can say stuff. I feel like this was worth it in some way for some of you. But you guys can call ahead if you want. I have my phone hooked up to my to the station. I hope it's hooked up pretty well. But it's up to you guys if you want to voice your concerns about the movie. But the movie Argo was a really, really, really good movie. I don't really want to spoil it, but it's so suspenseful. Ben Affleck was amazing. He basically plays this character. I don't want to. Ramirez or Rodriguez. I forgot the name of his name for the life of me. But he goes to Iran. Basically, the long story short is when the Iranians surrounded the U.S. embassy, 6 hostages escaped. I swear to God, all y'all making accounts just to talk. We have FanDuel for a reason. Anyway, but Argo and 6 hostages got out, and this guy Ben Affleck's character has to create a fake movie to go film in Iran. Is it Iran? Yeah, in Iran to get these hostages out. So they played this guy's a Canadian film crew, and they said they were filming in a location. So it was basically their fake science fiction film, and they were going to film in the desert. Basically, your fake Star Wars crap. But it's a really good movie. I'm not really going to spoil it all that much. Zach, I honestly hate you with a passion right now. I hate you with a passion. But I think, it was for the people listening on the radio station. I have my YouTube live stream up. You can watch it on there as well. But it'll sound weird who I'm talking to on the station, but I really don't care. So basically, I don't want to spoil too much of the movie, but the movie is really, really good. I highly recommend you go see it. And so I think the next movie we're going to talk about is, let's see what else I can find on this list. Let's talk about The Sandlot. How about that? The Sandlot. I think The Sandlot was a really, really good one. I feel like everybody has seen The Sandlot. If you have not seen The Sandlot, I feel like you didn't have a childhood. You didn't know what it was like to just, I don't know. I remember it was one of the first movies I saw as a kid. And I really wasn't much of a sports guy. I mean, let's be honest. I play baseball. I play softball at home. My friends take me out in the parking lot so I can't catch the ball. And I can't catch the ball anyway. Hitting can be questionable. But it's a meh takeaway. Well, I'm just happy that the ball isn't thrown to me or hit to me. By the way, Shane, I'm watching this. This is not funny. Remember, y'all come to my house next week. So, yeah. Anyway, Jesus Christ, y'all should talk in FanDuel. But anyway, The Sandlot. What is it to say about this movie? It makes you go back to simpler times, like when you just go out and just play baseball. Like I used to just play baseball like right down the block from me. I had a nice little baseball field with some of my friends. Like I said, wasn't that good, but I tried, and I'm heavily emphasizing on the try. What the hell is going on? Jesus Christ, how is this a thing? But anyway, I'm trying to say, each of these kids you can relate to in a way. Each of these, there's something about each of these kids that you can relate to, such as Scotty Smalls. He's a new kid in the neighborhood, doesn't have really any friends. He's basically a loner. What? God damn it. He's basically a loner, and this kid Benny says, hey, you want to come play baseball? The kid says, I don't know how to play. Oh, so we'll teach you. Benny serves as kind of his teacher, teaches him how to play baseball. He gets his whole group of friends, and it just turned into a really great movie. And the ending, when he gets the Babe Ruth ball, and to be honest, back then I didn't even know who Babe Ruth was, to be honest. And they were like, Babe Ruth. And also, let's talk about the Beast for a hot sec. The Beast, when they called it the Beast, it was literally just a dog. And they made it sound like it was a giant monster, but it kind of freaked me out as a kid. But after seeing it, it was pretty hilarious. And James Earl Jones makes his appearance. And if you don't know who that is, he voices Darth Vader in the Star Wars series. It was portrayed as a giant monster, Krennic. It was portrayed as it. Anyway, but like I said, I really recommend you should go see this movie. I don't know, but you can kind of catch it on Netflix, or I feel like you can always catch it on TV. But it's a really great movie. It really goes back to simpler times. I'm not really one much for sports movies, but this is a really great one. Let's see if we can go back to the top and see what else we can go to. Next thing we want to talk about is Saving Private Ryan. Now, I'm a huge war movie fan. I love war movies. They're really, really good, whether it be the Civil War, World War I, but World War II movies really take the cake. There's just so many out there that there's too many to count. I've seen a lot of them. They're really, really good. But this movie was different. It was one of the first war movies I saw when I was younger. I really wasn't much into it. Like, I think this is a really good movie to get you started into the war genre. James Earl Plums. I'm not gonna talk about that because that'd just be really weird on the station. That'd be really, really weird. People would be like, "What the hell is going on?" But damn, I wish I brought water. I'm actually really thirsty. But the opening scene in the movie, D-Day, was probably the best interpretation of D-Day you can get to, and as close as you can get to D-Day. The guys just coming out of the boats, immediately getting just hailed with bullets, just dying automatically. It was a pretty scary scene. People just blowing up on fire. But as you know, as history tells us, they eventually stormed the beach, they stormed the bunkers, and thus the invasion of Europe was underway. Now in this movie, Tom Hanks leads a band of soldiers to look for this other soldier named James Ryan. Now, James Ryan, a little backstory, his three brothers were all killed in some sort of battle in World War II. Now, there's some sort of law, I think back then, I don't know if it still is, I think back then in the Army, when if a certain number of your siblings were killed, you had a free ticket home. So their basic objective was to find Ryan somewhere in France and send him home. They eventually find Ryan, who was played by Matt Damon beautifully, and basically all hell breaks loose. Ryan says, I don't want to go, my men need me, and a lot of people die on the way, and the final battle scene is just really, really, really good. Just this small group of soldiers holding out against a whole battalion of German soldiers just coming in, tanks, artillery, everything is just thrown in the way. But one character I really liked was Upham. He was sort of the innocent of the group. Sorry guys for listening on the way. I'm trying to read this chat. I really don't know why. Jesus Christ. Anyway, but like Upham was a really, really, really great character. He served as kind of the innocent type. He didn't want to kill. He was basically thrown into the squad just as an order, just so as someone could translate German. He spent most of his time behind a typewriter. But basically, when they captured a German soldier as prisoner, they said we shouldn't kill him. This is wrong. This isn't right. But throughout the movie, he learns to get stronger, tougher, and that war is hell, and you gotta be tough. You gotta take a life. That's what basically happens. And to get lost with this German soldier that they capture, they don't kill him. They send him off on his way. he's in the final battle scene and he ends up killing one of the soldiers, and Upham eventually kills him, which is a pretty. It's not really emotional, but it's like, wow, you're shocked that he actually, like, the look on his face was just pure, like, he's had his war face on. He's like, I'm done with this. I don't want to deal with it anymore. But it's a really great movie. I think it's on Netflix right now. I feel like you should go watch. I feel like you should go watch it. It's a really good movie. If you should watch the opening scene in most history classes in high school, which I did. We kind of were forced to, but I didn't mind it because it's Saving Private Ryan. How are you not going to like Saving Private Ryan? Sorry, battling a cold here. You know, that's true, Mark. I don't know why y'all talking anyway. I mean, I'm just doing this because I don't know. This live thing really isn't working. It's kind of working, but it's going on and off. But anyway, like I said, you guys can comment. I probably really don't care if you do because you probably. Next one I'd like to talk about is the Forrest Gump. I said the Forrest Gump. I mean Forrest Gump, directed by Robert Zemeckis, I think his name was. Yeah, it came out in 1994. Yes. Now, I feel like everyone has seen this movie. Forrest Gump. Anyway, the best. Everyone has seen this movie. I feel like Forrest Gump was probably a movie everybody has seen. It's always on Netflix. Tom Hanks puts on his best performance in this, playing a person with a disability, how he goes through his whole life just witnessing really, really cool historic events, participating in Vietnam, getting a medal by Lyndon B. Johnson, investing in Apple and becoming a millionaire. So, I mean, what's not to like about the movie? Mark, it's my phone number. You have it. My physical cell phone number. Jesus Christ. If you're going to talk, I'm going to put you on speaker, so a lot of people's going to hear you. So, actually, let me not turn my phone. Just look at it. But there really isn't much to say about this one. I just feel like it just needed to be on this. And I somehow watch this movie every 3 months, whether it be on TV or it's just on Netflix. I really have nothing else to watch. Which, by the way, a little side note, if you really want something good to watch on Netflix, watch Narcos. That is a really, really good show. I was skeptical about it at first. Long story short, it's about Pablo Escobar and the whole drug cartel back in the 1980s during FaceTime. You can't, Mark, you can't FaceTime me. You can call me. I mean, you can FaceTime me, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, what was I going to say? Now I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? Oh, okay. He invested in. Oh yeah, Narcos, really good show. 3 seasons, really, really good. But anyway, I end up somehow watching this movie a lot on. Oh, here we go. What's up, Mark?
Hello, yes, Justin. This is not Mark. This is Jack Plums. I'm here to talk about movies and songs.
Go ahead.
Okay, now, what I wanted to ask you is, you're talking about the movie Forrest Gump, right?
Yes.
Okay, now in the movie Forrest Gump, the mother said that life is like a box of chocolates, but that's actually wrong. It's actually life is like a box of plums. Take it from me. Take it from me. Okay, now, I know for a fact, okay, that movie was a big hit because Brent Grendelman saw it 85 times in the theater.
Okay.
I just wanted to let you know. What else? So that is my thing. Okay, so enjoy the show is wonderful.
Why are you talking like an old woman?
I told you.
You sound like Fran. Oh, yeah.
All right, enjoy the show. Bye-bye.
Jesus Christ. I don't like friends with these people. This movie also came out the same weekend as Jurassic Park and Shawshank Redemption, so it had a really big competition to work forward to. Yes, this was James and the Giant. That's not a bad title of a movie, critic. Not a bad title at all. But if you're wondering, I'm trying to laugh. But like I said, this is a really great movie. If you haven't seen it, you're not really human. You really should go watch this movie right now. It's on Netflix. 2-hour movie, but it's 2 hours out of your day. It's not going to kill you. Go watch it. Next movie we'd like to talk about is, who else we can find here? Let's talk about The Sandlot. What else can we talk about here? Oh, let's talk about the Planet of the Apes trilogy. Now, not the original with Charlton Heston back in 1964. That's something I know not a lot of people have seen. I've probably not a lot of people have seen it, but I've seen it. It's a really good trilogy. Talking about the ones that recently came out a couple years ago. What was it? It was Rise. No, it was. How'd it go? I'm trying to figure this. Yes, it was Rise. It was Rise of the Planet of the Apes, which was directed by Rupert Wyatt back in 2014. I want to say. No, 2011. 2011. Excuse me, 2011. Rise of the Planet. No, it was Dawn of the Planet of the Apes came out in 2014, which was directed by Matt Reeves, and then War of Planet directed by Matt Reeves again, which came out in 2017. Let's talk about Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Now, this is a different take on the Rise of the Planet of the Apes, take. Now, this is a different take on the Planet of the Apes franchise as a whole. The original, I'm not going to talk too much about it. Yes, he does that. James Franco does play the doctor in this movie. He plays a scientist, basically, that is developing a drug to cure Alzheimer's. And they're testing it on chimps, because animal testing, because, I mean, I don't know, whatever your opinions on that, it's whatever your opinions on it. And they test it on this chimp, and eventually shows them that they go nuts. Well, no, they go nuts eventually, but they get smarter. And to make a long story, there's this baby chimp who they serve as a test subject named Caesar. He adopts the baby chimp as his own, like a son, not like a son, but like a son/pet. And he tests this toxin on him, and it makes him incredibly smart. But they find out that it cures Alzheimer's for a little bit, but did you call? Oh, my bad, Jack. Here you go. What's up, Jack? You're live.
This is Jack. Hello.
Matt, hi, Jack.
Hello, am I on air?
Unfortunately, yes.
This is Tom Plumes. Tom Plumes. Can you hear me?
Unfortunately.
Okay, I've got to talk about my favorite movie, Black Plumes Panther.
Can you not? Can you not? No, I haven't.
Black Plumes Panther.
No, I haven't.
Hello. Well, let me tell you something. I am Academy Award-winning actor Tom Plumes, and if you haven't seen the gracefulness of Plumes all over Black Panther Plumes, I highly suggest it, Justin. I know you're a movie guy. I don't understand how you haven't seen Black Panther's Plumes yet. Can you explain why?
Because it's not a real movie.
Oh, it's a real movie. Oh, it's real.
I don't think so.
I'm calling you from West Hampton Beach right now.
Oh yeah, you're on vacation.
Rubbed by a Chinese woman.
I know you're trying not to laugh.
And I needed to call you because if you didn't see this movie, I was gonna be upset. And this Chinese woman is not happy.
Can you not talk about this?
Stop getting my feet rubbed. You don't even know about the
Unfortunately, yes.
All right. Well, I'm hanging up.
Of course you are. Jesus, I hate all of you. I literally hate all of you. But anyway, oh my God. Basically, the long story short is Caesar goes too far, eventually attacks a neighbor for attacking James Franco's father, who has Alzheimer's, and he's sent to a basic zoo with all the other chimps. But Caesar starts to think that humans are bad, and I mean, let's be honest, we kind of are. So eventually, he breaks into the lab and steals a bunch of this toxin, and he infects the entire zoo, which is full of chimps, by the way. And the chimps break out. All hell breaks loose. They storm the Golden Gate Bridge. They attack humans. They basically are getting smarter. Now, the next movie, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, is probably my favorite of the series. I remember seeing this movie in theaters, and it was a really, really, really good movie. James Franco, unfortunately, is not in the movie. His character is said to have died by the virus. And by the time of this movie, the virus has spread all across the world. It's basically killed a lot of and not a lot of humans are left. Basically, some people are immune to this by now. So basically, Caesar leads this little colony. It's not really, you can call it an army of apes that lives in the forest. They live in peace. They don't want anything to do with the humans. They just want to live in peace and go on with their lives. But then all hell breaks loose. Humans eventually try to expand their whole little colony. Well, basically, this little small group of humans wanted to get this generator up running, which is in the mountains. But unfortunately, the apes control the mountains, and then the apes are like, no, you can't have it, and the humans say, yes, we need it, we need power. So the apes say, okay, fine, you can do this, but it's under our terms. No guns up here. So I'm trying not to spoil the movie as best I can. There's basically a small coup that takes place in Caesar's like inner circle by the name of another ape called Cobot, who was in the first movie. Let me point out that the apes can somewhat speak in this movie. Not really. They mostly use sign language, which is pretty interesting. I don't really see that, but whatever. But I lost my train of thought again. And Koba leads this army of apes against the human strongman. And this battle scene was probably the best. I mean, both sides. In the beginning, the apes are kind of losing because they're armed with spears and horses, while the humans are armed with guns and have a tank. But I mean, don't underestimate the apes. They're 10 times smarter than humans. So eventually, the apes take over the compound, and they're using them as slaves. Caesar gets back to full health, and he takes down Koba. And I'm not going to say anything else from there because I think you should go watch this movie. It's a really good movie. Now, War of the Planet Apes, directed by Matt Reeves as well, was that's disgusting, Mark. Was directed also by Matt Reeves and came out in 2017. Now, this movie I did not get a chance to see in theaters. I was kind of upset I didn't get to see it. I was just too busy at the time. But it was, I thought it'd be, the title kind of was misleading, but I'm not really going to spoil it too much. There's a reason for it. The reason for the title being misleading, but it leads to something else in the movie. But basically, Caesar and the humans are basically at war with each other. There's war with this general, and this general actually has helicopters, tanks, and actual soldiers leading the fight. And I'm not going to spoil the ending of the movie for you because, I mean, you shouldn't. I'm not going to. Go watch the movie. It's not on Netflix. I have the collection at home. I occasionally watch it. It's pretty good. Excuse me. But it's a pretty good one. So now the next movie I want to talk about is The Last Samurai, directed by Edward Zwick. It came out in 2003. Now this movie is it's another historic movie, but it's a bit different. It takes inspiration from the 1887 Samachi Rebellion, which took place in Japan. To make a long story short of that rebellion, samurais in Japan did not want to go back, did not want to modernize. They were afraid of modernization. They wanted to stick to old feudal Japan. That's just what they liked. Damn, I got a call. But Tom Cruise puts on a very, very good performance as I'm trying to think of the actor's name, Captain Aldrin. And he is a man that is haunted by the atrocities he committed during the American Indian War, when the whole thing. So Ken Watanabe plays Lord Masugushi or something. I forgot his name for the life of me, but he plays the samurai who heads the samurai clan who does not want modernization. So I mean, make a long story short, Tom Cruise's character is sent to Japan to take down this rebellion, but it ends up getting captured by the rebels, and is shown that hey, we're not all that bad, and that we serve the emperor, but we just don't want this change. Like I'll do anything for the emperor, but we don't want this change. Now, my favorite scenes in the movie were the last battle scene and the play scene. Now, the play scene was just basically to give sum up. All the characters, all the people in the village are watching like some sort of like Japanese play, and these group of ninjas attack and the sword play, and the action is just really, really good. I don't know who did the choreography for the sword fighting, but it was really, really good. And the blue was very bloody. Surprisingly, I was really shocked by it. But I think you should go see. It's sometimes on Netflix. You can catch it on TV at times, but it's probably going to be not show as much blood or anything like that. But that's if you like blood or not. But Tom Cruise's character eventually learns the way the samurai, learns the code of Bushido, honor, and I think that's what Ken Watanabe's character saw in him, that he had honor in him. Unlike the other Americans, he was willing to go down fighting for what he believed in, which is what the samurai believed in at that time. They wanted to go down believing that, hey, we don't want modernization. I mean, I kind of figured I'd lose the audience. It was basically just a talk and then leave, but whatever. But anyway, go see the movie. Came out a long time ago, but I'm sure you can find it on Netflix. Unfortunately, Blockbuster's not a thing anymore because Netflix, like I said, Netflix. I'm sure you can watch it online somewhere because. But we'll talk about probably two more movies. Oh, we'll talk about this one. I haven't talked about this one yet. Goodfellas, which came out in 1990, directed by Martin Scorsese, and one of his better movies because it was between this one, Casino, and A Bronx Tale. And it was a really tough decision, but I think Goodfellas is probably the better of the choice because it's Goodfellas. It's a classic. And stars Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and Ray Liotta. Now, all three of these characters, to give a little backstory, Ray Liotta's character plays Henry. He's a kid, grows up as a kid, wants to be in the mob, doesn't want to do anything with school. He wants to be a member of the mob, or to be a gangster. He sees that they get nothing but respect. They get money, they get women, they get power. So eventually worked his way into the crime family without being initiated into the crime family. He works for the crime family. And they pull off a couple heists and people get whacked in the movie. And eventually Henry learns that, the mob might be all it's cracked up to be. A lot of people are dying, his close friends are dying. And when he eventually starts to break, I'm not going to say what happens, but I'll let you go from there. Now, Robert De Niro plays Jimmy the Gent Conway. He plays the brains of the group and organizes one of the big heists, which is actually a real heist, the Lufthansa heist. I forgot the year that, for the life of me, I forgot that was. And Joe Pesci plays Tommy, who is the short-tempered and quick to the trigger and violent mobster that is always willing to show how tough he is. His famous line in the movie is, "You think I'm funny? You think I'm a clown? But like I said, go watch the movie. I know that movie's definitely on Netflix, so you should definitely go check it out. But we'll talk about probably one more movie here. Let's see if we can find this on the list. There's a lot of movies on this list. We'll talk about two more movies. Let's talk about The Pianist, directed by Roman Polanski, which came out in 2003. Now, this is a movie maybe not a lot of people have seen. This was on Netflix a while back. And I didn't think much of it when I heard of it. I was like, it's another Holocaust movie. It's probably gonna be really depressing, which is not really. I mean, it's depressing. It's a Holocaust movie. But when I watched it, it was. God damn it, Jack! But this movie is something different. It stars Adrian Brody. He plays Spielman, a Polish radio, plays piano on the Polish radio, and he's caught dead center of the German invasion of Poland on September 1st, 1939. He's caught dead center in it, and dead center in the occupation. So as time goes on, Spielman and his family are relocated into the ghetto, which is this really, really small enclosed area in Warsaw. And eventually his family gets deported, and he is saved by a family friend from getting on the train to go to Auschwitz or Krakow. I forgot which station, which camp they were headed to. But to make a long story, he never saw his family again. He never saw his family again. So he's trying to survive as best he can in the streets. He has some friends that are non-Jewish friends who help him. And they set him up in some apartments. Well, 2 apartments throughout the entire movie. And throughout each of the apartments, he bears witness to stuff. Like in one apartment, he witnesses the Polish rebellion taking place, like people the Polish resistance trying to fight off the German army. There are a lot of brutal scenes. It's really, really upsetting, but there's one scene in the movie that shows that there is some humanity left in hell, like the world has gone to hell, and not a lot of people agreed with what Hitler's beliefs were. But I highly recommend you really see it. I'm sure you can find it somewhere. It's not on Netflix, which is upsetting, but go see it. And the next movie we're going to talk about is The Thing, directed by John Carpenter. Directed by John Carpenter, came out in 1982. Now, this is one of my favorite horror movies and a classic, but could be considered a thriller and very suspenseful in some regard. It stars Kurt Russell and Keith David, and among many other characters who give a great performance in this movie. Now, for the 1980s, this movie was pretty good. The effects were awesome and can still hold up today. And this movie was inspired by The Thing from Another World, which came out a 1951 film titled A Thing from Another World, which was Carpenter's favorite movie. And this movie, A Thing from Another World, which came out in 1951, can be seen playing in the movie Halloween, directed by John Carpenter. By the way, there is a new Halloween movie coming out, or it is out. Excuse me. Which I heard is pretty good, but from the critics' side, but I might have to go see that. And the movie this is the type of movie you might have to watch twice to understand. You really have to listen to what they're saying. And this movie can be interpreted as multiple endings, and there is a comic that continues this movie, and there is also the video game, which is god awful, but it ain't that bad. It's okay. The movie spawned a sequel, which came out in 2011, which actually turned out to be a prequel. And if you watch that one, I recommend you watch the one that came out in 2011 first, then the original. It's not even into it; it's a sequel. But There's definitely it doesn't. It kind of tells you it's a prequel, but it kind of gives you a hint right away. It's very clear. Now the monster in the movie doesn't really have other name other than the Thing, and this power is basically to shapeshift into other people. It could take the shape of anybody. And basically, this movie is just the Thing taking shape of other people within the camp. And the only way to kill this monster is by fire. And the one scene in the movie that really is a couple scenes. A couple scenes that are pretty disturbing is the dog scene with the huskies inside the pound, and the part where the defibrillator scene that was brutal. And I think I was trying to in terms, but this movie's not really scary. It really isn't. Like it just by the title, if you look at the title and the cover, it looks scary, but it's just more suspenseful than anything. The monster is downright terrifying, and may or may not give you nightmares. But I actually own the special edition of this movie, which has the regular edition, the TV edition, and the unrated version, which is pretty good. I have not seen the TV version yet because I heard the TV version has a different ending than the original. But it's a pretty good movie. So, let's see, is there another movie we could talk about? I think that might be it in terms of movies today. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. People who are listening from back home on Long Island, thank you for listening, and really good. Talk to you guys later. And this is it for Geek Talk.